What's up, banana bunch? Bunch? Bunch?
Welcome to the Jungle Gyms podcast. What's up, Banana Bunch? You know what time it is? It's time for another episode of the Jungle Gyms podcast. Welcome. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Mark, as always, in for some fun times here. Before we dive into the heat of the show, there's all kinds of fun stuff coming up here at the Jungle right now. It's kind of why I'm airing this episode this week as well. So a few things I want to keep you all abreast of, and all of the details on this, if I either say something wrong or forget a detail, which is really not much different than for saying something wrong in the first place. But you definitely want to head over to junglegyms.com no matter what to check out more info on this. But we've got some great stuff coming up. There's two events happening here in Fairfield on the 21st. We're having another one of our fancy wine walkabouts. If you've been a long-time listener to the show, you've joined me and one of our sommeliers, Michael, to walk through some of those. But you can come and taste a bunch of wines. There's a small entry fee to join it. You can try all kinds of fun stuff, and then you can walk around the store. It's a lot of fun. How many other grocery stores let you drink on the clock, as it were, right? Ours does, and I know that's one of your favorite things because a lot of you send me drunk emails, which I'm still cool with. However, also, that's coming up on the 20th. These are both on Saturday, January 21st, to be very clear. And the other event happening on the 21st is our cigar customer appreciation event. So that'll be happening here at Fairfield, but in our Oscar Station building. It's the building with all the giant snakes on the outside of it. That one's coming up too. That has been something that has been requested a lot. So if you're a cigar smoker and you want to check out a bunch of them, we're going to have all kinds of vendors there. You get to try a bunch of stuff. Again, one of those very unique things about Jungle Gyms. I always like to make sure we sing our praises on that. And so, of course, like I said earlier, we've got a calendar on junglegyms.com. We've got event pages, all that kind of stuff. So you can get all of the fine details there, but I wanted to make sure that you were all aware of it and taking part in it. And as I mentioned earlier, part of the reason I was releasing this episode coming up here, in this timeline is because this week's guest, our friends from DohJoy Bread, who I know you all have seen on the show a lot right now. And you're like, why are you doing this? Well, let me give you this is a little behind the scenes magic. So when you're in this industry, the biggest currency that you can get outside of actual money is people who engage with and share your content, and for me specifically, sees the vision. And Julie and DohJoy have been really instrumental in that. I think they understood both the power of a podcast in the first place and the fact that I'm on board to try and do weird things. Like, you probably remember them stuffing me when I was in the turkey suit back in November. And then in November, we teased, and this was my idea, to have them come back at this time of year to declare the winners of their contest. So what DohJoy was working on is that they were offering up a gift card to your favorite retailer that sells DohJoy. And obviously, me being here, I hope that your favorite retailer that carries DohJoy is Jungle Gyms. But they were going to give the winner of this contest a $250 gift card to a place of their choosing for that. So I told Julie then, I was like, this would be a lot of fun. Maybe we could come judge the winners on here. So they came back to join us to try that out. It's going to be a bunch of fun. And of course, it's not just me trying. I brought in one of my favorite repeat guests from upstairs, Victoria. Hi, Victoria. Thanks for joining me on the show. I always appreciate having you here as a taster. And then we brought back another, maybe you'll remember one of our last tasters, Dick. Dick's coming back too. And then I brought in some other people too. It's a lot of fun. Ryan, thank you so much for coming out and trying this stuff. And hey, this is a word to all of you as customers or anybody that follows us on social. I love it when you all come and get to be a part of the show. I want you to be a part of the show as much as you want to be a part of the show. So if you're sitting there like, hey, Mark, if you ever need a taster, let me know. Shoot me an email at podcast@junglegyms.com, or you can actually call the Jungle Gyms podcast hotline at area code 513-674-6855. Let the demons out of your head. It's fine. I'm going to listen to them, and I'm going to start airing those clips more regularly now that I'm really trying to push this. So I'm telling you, don't be one of those people who's like, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say much. You can just be like, hi, Mark, I like the show, or hi, Mark, I don't like the show, or hey, Mark, whatever you want. It's cool. We're not being very judgy. I'd love to air that on the show. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it would be very funny. There's a lot of interesting people out there. This is a way, I always say this, I want you all to be a part of the show. And usually me asking you to be a part of the show are things like, hey, leave me a review on iTunes, or excuse me, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I would still love that. I could still use your help. You know, I keep telling everybody I want to be the #1 podcast in the world, and we're getting up there. We've been cranking up the ranks. What's been really exciting for me is that we've been climbing the charts in more countries. Like we've started charting regularly as one of the top food shows, like the top 5 food shows in Saudi Arabia. I mean, that's been a fun one. And just watching those charts, it's so much fun for me. I, of course, want to give a shout out to all of our listeners overseas. It's amazing. We're an international market. I want to be friends with all of you. So if there's something out there that you're like, hey, Mark, this would be a great episode, or I'm an expert on this, I'd love to meet you. You know, you've seen Sebastian from Sweden on the show a few times. I literally met him because he was making snarky comments on YouTube with me. And then I was like, no, seriously, you're coming in this Thursday. Teach me about Sweden. I would love to do that with all of you. Now, of course, those of you who right now are listening to the audio-only version of the show, thank you so much. This is where I ask you for those Apple Podcast reviews again. But of course, I want to bring up a few things. We've been having a lot of success on YouTube lately. Right now, thanks to our friends at Pepsi, we got to try their new lemon lime soda, which is now in stores. But we got to try that like about a month early before it came out. I put out a review as soon as the embargo lifted, and I think we're right now trending as like the #1 review of this new soda. It's called Starry. This is where I just want you to subscribe to us on YouTube. Even if you're not a huge YouTube person in general, we are putting out some really killer content there as well. So, you know, I know we've talked a few times about the reformatting of the podcast, all that fun stuff. I think this is going really well. It's helped out a lot. And then we've had all these other fun things. So some of these like shorter form pieces, like the soda reviews, when we get a new product, that's probably we're going to hear, you know, you might hear me mention it in this kind of context, right? Where I'm like, hey, we just put out a new product video. But it would make me so pleased. Pleased as punch. I don't know how, honestly, is Punch even pleased? I've never seen Punch smile. I've never seen it really do much of anything besides get ingested. But the point is, I'd be so happy and so appreciative if you all joined me on YouTube every so often just to check out. You know, we're posting little short reels there. We're posting these short form video pieces. We've got a great one coming up this week that I think you'll really enjoy, where I went out and compared U.S. dipping sauces, you know, things like ketchup, mustard, ranch dressing, shelf stable, woof. Ugh. And I know a lot of you got upset, but you're wrong. It's not good. But we compared that to a bunch of random international offerings that I found. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with that video. We did a tiered ranking list. It's great. And you know what? The best part is you can tell me I'm wrong. And, you know, unfortunately for you, my opinion is absolute fact. But we've got pieces like that. You know, a couple weeks ago, we did a short piece with Jacob Trevino of Gorilla Cinema Presents, and he and I were making eggnog inside like an emu egg and quail eggs, all kinds of fun stuff. Again, I know some of you have reached out to be like, hey, Mark, we'd love to follow the show on YouTube, but we really like listening to the audio format. And I get that. I respect it. I'm so thankful you're listening at all. But still, if you get a chance, give me a subscribe and maybe check out some of those short videos when you do have time, because I'd love your feedback on that. And of course, if there's ever anything you want to see on the show, I keep telling you, call the hotline, 513-674-6855, or podcast@junglegyms.com. You can email me that way. On that, all right, I think I've yammered quite enough this episode. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. We're going to toss over to DohJoy and the crew, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. There's no closer from me on this one. I want you all to watch the taste testing from everybody that came in and gave me their time. So on that, I'll see you out there. Oh, you know what? I realized right before I said this, I'm going to start teasing this. There's a possibility we're taking the show on the road here at the end of the month for a few days. There's an expo I'm trying to attend. And while it's not 100% confirmed, either way, I've been itching to do some regional food-based content. And, you know, I'm effectively in Cincinnati, Ohio right now. The event I'm traveling to would be in Florida. A lot of people are like, Mark, that drive sucks. Well, that's empirically false. Road trips in general are a ton of fun if you view it with the right perspective. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because if we go, I would really, really, really love some of your suggestions for things that you might see on the way. Maybe a specific regional food stop you think I should make or something I should try. Maybe there's a store or a business. Before you say Buc-ee's, know that that's already on my stop. I mean, how could I not go to the jungle gyms of convenience stores? Shout out Buc-ee's. We love you. But I would love your feedback on that kind of stuff. If there's something out there that you think would be worth trying, let me know. One of my big goals for 2023 is to take us to a lot of shows. I want to go to all kinds of food expos so that you all can find out about new products before anybody else. Look, we call it breaking the food chain here. I want to peel the curtain back ever so slowly so you can see what's going on. And then you can tell your friends, hey, this guy Mark I pretend I'm friends with, he told me all about this new product from Jelly Belly or whoever it is, right? That's what I mean when we're on the front lines of food. So anyway, keep that in mind. Let me know. You can leave it in the comments of the YouTube video, or you can call the hotline or send me an email like I said before. So, okay, now I'm actually done. We're going to go over to DohJoy, Julie and Sarah. We're going to play through this contest and talk about everything we're doing. Congratulations in advance to the winners. And of course, in the meantime, I'll see you out there in the aisles. We talked about this back in November on the Thanksgiving episode. We were doing some DohJoy Bread recipes, and I wanted to be a part of the contest, so I brought back Julie and Sarah from DohJoy. I said it right this time. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh, of course. So let's talk a little bit about the contest for those people who did not watch the previous episode. Shame on you.
Yeah, so we had a low carb, low sugar recipe contest. The goal was to use either the DohJoy under 1 net carb deli white bread or the 1 net carb stuffing and create something other than a sandwich with it.
Right.
So yeah, and then the winner, it gets $250 to the DohJoy retailer of their choice.
Cool.
Could be Jungle Gyms.
I'm hoping it is. And if you are out there, contest winner, when we judge, I hope you come in here. If not, I won't do anything about it, but I will pretend to. So I know you got a bunch of submissions on this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's been fun to watch over the last couple. I mean, it's been a couple months now. I can't believe that already. Mm-hmm. Time flies now.
Truly.
What were some of the things that you were really hoping to get submission-wise? Is there anything that you didn't get submitted recipe-wise that you were thinking might have happened?
Well, at the time we did this, it was at the time of Thanksgiving. So we assumed, obviously, we would get some stuffing recipes for sure. Mm-hmm. And then going into Christmas, we were thinking, and the holidays, we thought, we'll probably get some bread pudding maybe. Maybe some breakfast items because people are entertaining. Yeah. And we did. We got a bunch of all of that.
Oh, cool.
We had to make some choices about which ones to bring to you to ultimately test. And of course, one of those criteria needed to be total sugar.
Yeah.
Because this is important that for us, it's a low carb, low sugar item. And so that's how we arrived at the ones that we're bringing you today. We did have some sweeter options that were amazing, but just, in keeping with our objectives, we had to rule to the ones that we knew were especially low carb.
One of the things I've liked so much about your repeat visits on the show is that you've got I love that there's the nutrition angle, and it's something that for me has been exciting because I want to cover more of that stuff in general, right? Like, my goal here is to educate people. This has been a goal from the company from the start. They were like, don't make this an ad, just do good content, right? And so for me, I'm sort of taking it upon myself, not just to educate myself, although obviously, thank you, but I do like educating the people about this stuff and giving them options for things like DohJoy Bread, right? I mean, we've talked ad nauseum in the past about how people are trying to cut their sugar intake and their carb intake and all this stuff to create a more, more holistic approach to health in general. And I think that's been really wonderful. So I'm glad that was a focus on this too, because I was really curious going into it. I'm like, are people going to just, these are just my personal thoughts, right? It's why I didn't submit one. Are they going to take something like this and be like, okay, well, because we've cut sugar and carbs out of this, can I now fill it with chocolate chips? And I guess technically you could, but right. Again, that's where I would have gone, and I'm glad I didn't because I think what you've brought in today has been such a good thing. Do you want to tell people what your favorites, the favorite 3 that you brought in for us today were?
So the finalists in the competition are
the low carb Parmesan chicken.
Okay.
Submitted by Melissa Geist.
Yes. And not so boring, packed with a punch dressing is what Kayla, she's at Cincy Fit Foodie on Instagram. That's
cool.
What she submitted.
I think I follow her on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken.
She's great, yes.
Awesome. Also, that's the most fun name so far. A lot of hyphens happening.
Yes.
Here for the hyphenation.
Yes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hyphens in that name.
Very grammatically correct.
It is very grammatically correct. And honestly, that might have to be a judging category.
Yeah, we should have added that. And then the DohJoy breakfast casserole, which I was calling it a breakfast bake.
Okay. I'm into that.
I don't know. People have different definitions for casseroles.
Mm-hmm. A little breakfast bake. I'm very familiar with that terminology. Come back for the April 20th episode, folks.
But that was submitted by Stephanie at
Your Sweetest Life.
Oh,
yes.
Cool. That sounds awesome, too. Look, we all love a good... And the breakfast... All right, let's talk about this. Let's break down the casserole game. So you mentioned breakfast bake. You said casserole. I want to determine which one of you is correct. So, Sarah, I'll start with you. Why do you call it a breakfast bake over a breakfast casserole?
I thought it was a better name, personally, and it seems a little thin to be a casserole. I think a casserole maybe fills up the whole casserole dish.
Sure.
But in the same sense, a casserole is maybe layers. I don't know.
I think of anything that comes in a baking dish that isn't meat to be a casserole. So
I think that's a good answer too. I think I like that answer in the casserole. And yeah, there's a uniformity, and just from judging what I've seen, it looks like this is I'm just gonna throw a wrench in the works. I'm gonna call it a breakfast parfait, an open faced breakfast parfait. We've got layers. There's multiple different things going on in it.
It's really,
you probably
really cool.
could stuff it in a parfait dish, although I did not prepare for this joke today. I'm so sorry. Obviously, all jokes aside, some of this information is objective. Now, I should be clear, you two have stayed out of the judging, correct? We're going to leave that purely up to me and the taste testers.
We just made the recipes. And to be clear, too, like when we make the recipes, it's obviously going to be a little different from the originator's recipe. And we warmed it to bring it here. So they're not quite exactly
of course
the way they were intended, perhaps. But I was absolutely shocked by how well they all came out.
Yeah.
And how tasty they are.
I mean, I know people can't smell through the video yet, but we're working on that technology, and it smells great in here. I'm excited to try everything just because there are a lot of very interesting smells going on, so I think that should be fun. But I wanted to lean into the nutrition end of it, too. Is there, on an objective side, would you argue that any of these focus more on certain... I'm glad you brought your notes. Again, hey, future guests, bring notes. I love it. Some people are like, can I look at my notes here? Yes, I want information and less editing. So, yeah, talk to me on a nutritional level. Are there certain that either have like a really outstanding amount of protein or one has a little less sugar than the others?
Yeah, okay, so we're looking for all of them to be low in net carbs, and they all qualify. They're 5 grams or less in net carbs across the board. So that's really awesome. But we also know that not everybody is necessarily interested in a bread like this because of the net carbs. Some people really want the protein. There's actually a really significant amount of protein in a slice of bread with DohJoy.
Absolutely.
5 grams.
And I should mention, too, when we mention net carbs, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're taking the full carb count and you're reducing that carb count using the fiber in the product, too, because you're 8 grams of fiber per slice,
9.
right? 9, excuse me. I knew I was close.
It classifies by the FDA as an excellent source of fiber.
That's awesome. Yeah.
In one slice. So total carbs minus fiber.
Perfect.
And that leaves you with your total carbs, your net carbs. So the protein is one component of this too that we were looking at, and then of course no sugar or low sugar. They all qualify as low sugar, and then overall calories. You know, a lot of people are just looking for low calories.
Sure.
So it's really just based on what everybody's nutritional guidelines are for themselves. Which we try to be. Yes, we are keto friendly, but we're also just, for somebody who's just trying to be healthy, it's a healthy bread.
Well, and I think we've talked about this in the past, but I think it is absolutely worth repeating too, is that one of the reasons, I mean, I'm not necessarily adhering to like a rigid no carb lifestyle. I'm a no sugar guy. But for me, what was so exciting about it is that it's obviously tastes great. Otherwise, I wouldn't have you back. I mean, let's just be honest. If the product's terrible and somebody's like, I don't know. Yeah. Sort of joking. But no, seriously, I liked it because it tastes great. It tastes like real bread. I mean, not that it's not real bread, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And more importantly, it in most cases more than halves. Like, I mean, each slice is 40 calories. I double checked on the bag. Versus, I would say most major competitors, if you're looking at a decent piece of bread, and I'm a sandwich snob, you're looking at least 100 calories a slice. So right there alone takes a pretty significant notch out of it, Yeah. Which I think that's one of my favorite dietary plans, input, output, right?
Yes. Right.
You know, I don't want to do more work. I just want to figure out how to eat as much as possible at the lowest number available.
Eat really well all day long and then eat your ice cream at night.
Exactly. I just try to get it outside of the fasting range. I'm like, I can start this again tomorrow. I'm all about New Year's resolutions. So anyway, I know we vamped for too long. So please, the useful part of the podcast. Yes.
Coming back to the recipe, in terms of nutrition then, which one stands out? It varies based on what you're trying to go for. But if you're looking for protein, one of them clearly stands out.
I'm going to pretend like I don't know.
You're such a
but
good
I'm just
actor.
guessing. Well, I think it makes, and just thinking about it, because there's a combination of, well, one of them is a 90% protein dish. So to me, it's like the chicken's got to be the winner, right?
Yes.
But I'm assuming the other two, there's not a huge gap. What are we talking protein count per
You would think
serving?
that egg and breakfast meat one would have a lot of protein too, and it does. So that one has 27 grams of protein, but that chicken has 63 grams of protein.
And that's per serving on all of these, right?
Yes.
That's
Isn't that
pretty
amazing?
Yeah, it is.
And so, of course, that does have a lot to do with the chicken, but it also has to do with, again, DohJoy. I mean, the stuffing, the bread is already high in protein, but then when you take the water out of it, any moisture that's remaining comes out of the stuffing, then you're concentrating that protein even further.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so the protein in the stuffing is even higher. So you add that to the chicken, you've got some cheese, there's protein in the cheese. I mean, that is a high protein dish.
So that was actually a question I thought about earlier. So, and then in that case, obviously the not so boring, packed with a punch. I didn't see any punches in the dish you brought, but I'm so sorry. I can't believe they let me talk publicly. So then in that case, I'm guessing that then just from what you said, so the chicken and the stuffing recipe, they both use the keto or the DohJoy stuffing, right? Okay. So then the only one that uses the full bread is the egg parfait,
casserole.
the breakfast parfait,
Yes.
the BP.
Yes.
Perfect.
And that one has, the 27 grams of protein, has 410 calories and 5 net carbs, 9 grams of fiber. That's
impressive.
Really nice. The dressing, though, is really worth noting. I mean, typically, if you're making this recipe with regular bread, you're going to have a lot of sugar and you're going to have a lot of carbs.
Absolutely.
In this case, it has 3 grams net carbs, of which 10 is fiber, 1 sugar, and 100 calories.
That's
serving.
impressive.
It's a really nice low-calorie dish. So we think that one really deserves some recognition for the nutritional content.
Yeah, I'm curious about all of these, and I think going into this, the stuffing is the one I'm the most just based purely on her description of it. Not so boring, packed to the punch. I'm like, what unique thing is going to happen with this one? And they all sound good. I mean, I should just be honest with the public up front. I am an egg fanatic for real. And so there's that part of me that's like, I hope I just don't let my biases win on this one, because they all look, again, it looks good. It smells good. I'm ready for this. Are you all ready for this?
We're ready.
We are ready.
Should we go to the taste testers?
Let's.
Okay. Before we go to the tasters, here's how we're doing this. We've got 3 dishes, as I've repeated here repeatedly. The Parmesan chicken, the egg casserole bake parfait, and the stuffing with a punch. So we're going to be asking these people, we're going to ask them about a bunch of stuff, but we're only using their votes and judging on the flavor and the creativity end. Just so you know, though you will hear them talk about their opinions on the nutrition end and what they think as far as what would be the easiest to prepare. So with that, I'm going to be the first taste tester. Hi, I'm Mark. I'm a customer of Jungle Jim's. All right, Julie, talk to me. What do you want me to try first? We're going chicken first?
Yeah, why don't we start with the chicken?
I think it's good. The chicken's like cooked really well. Flavor's great. It's, I actually think this one I could use a touch more salt to it maybe. But I think this one could maybe use a touch more seasoning. I like the idea of it maybe being a little crispier on top in the future. However, the seasoning's great across the board. You've got like a strong kind of like an Italian seasoning vibe to it. I also really like the cheese comes through pretty nice, that Parmesan flavor. I think that's a really good addition to this. The chicken's really well cooked. I would eat that again for sure. All right, egg casserole coming up next. Look, before I even bite this one, this is the one I'm the most excited for. I love eggs. I love eggs. If you're an egg person, send them to me. I want to try yours. That's awesome. Here's what I like the most about this one. I think this one is pretty perfectly seasoned. It's like the right balance of like I get the cheese, the sausage. I think what I like so much about this one compared to the first is that it makes the bread more of a star of the dish. I think that everything comes together really nicely, that it tastes like one piece. I like that the bread shines so strongly in this one, because you do get all those other flavors, but I also taste the bread. And I think sometimes in these types of dishes, you don't get, the bread is just a vessel. This tastes more like it's part of the band, if that makes sense. Okay.
All right, let's try that stuffing.
This is very interesting. It's not from the from like the first taste, I'm going to take another bite. That's how much I like it. From the first bite, you get a lot of interesting flavors. Visually, it looked very much like stuffing or dressing or however anybody wants to call it. But the flavor instantly was not what I expected in a very pleasing way. I mean, you still get a lot of those traditional stuffing flavors. Like I get the sage notes, the onion, the celery, what have you. But I definitely get there's secret ingredients in it, right? I feel confident in mentioning beer as one of them. There's another secret though, right? What am I not tasting?
The mustard.
That makes a ton of sense because I almost get a little vinegary mustard bite to it, which to me makes this. Oh, this is a tough one because I think this is the most interesting one out of the group. Like everything else, everything was really good, right? This to me is very unique. And I guess that's something we'll think about in the judging process. The bacon, the texture's awesome. Like you've got.
What would you eat it with?
Is there a way to do like summer stuffing? You know what I mean? I feel like honestly, this should be a dish that people make at the cookout in the summer. That's the first thing I thought of, honestly, was like, it kind of, in a weird way, it would almost replace like a potato salad or a macaroni salad, you know, one of those things that people bring. This tastes a lot fresher and a lot lighter than those things, while still having a ton of flavor and some recognizable ones. Yeah, I'd eat, I don't know, grill out some dogs. I don't really eat hot dogs. I'm a fancy sausage guy. But some sort of tube meat shaped thing. Can't wait to put that in the edit.
Hi, I'm Victoria.
All right, what are we? You're gonna taste the chicken first, right?
Yes. Pretty good use of the DohJoy. It could be crispier.
Okay.
It's a little soggy on the crust, but overall it's pretty good. Chicken's nice and moist, has good flavor. I would eat a whole meal of this chicken. It's pretty good.
Cool. Awesome. All right, well, let's move on to the egg casserole then.
And cheese.
I'm really surprised with this because I do not like breakfast sausage, but this is good. The bread is nicely crisp. It's the perfect amount of toastiness where it's not like brown and burnt.
Mm-hmm.
The egg's nice. Really good. A little bit salty, but.
And then I guess we'll move on to the third and final piece today, the stuffing with a punch.
Okay. It's interesting.
What do you get flavor-wise out of it? Is there anything that sticks out to you?
The bacon and a little celery pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. How it all comes together, it reminds me of southern green beans. I'd say the chicken's probably my favorite.
Okay.
And then I'll go stuffing and egg.
Okay.
I think that the little egg sandwich, the open-faced egg sandwich, most creative.
Okay.
And then I'd go with the stuffing and then the crusted chicken.
I mean, did they taste nutritious overall to you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did any one of them stick out more than another in the nutrition game?
I mean, I guess this chicken, really
Okay.
nutritious, good protein, got a little bit of
There's
just a nice like baked chicken. It's great for you.
Hello, I'm Ryan Rockwell.
Ryan, thanks for joining me. Okay,
Thanks
here
for
we go.
having
You
me.
know the drill we're going through. So we're going to start with the chicken. If you want to give that a taste.
It's moist. The flavor's good. The seasoning, I would say, is pretty perfect. I would say it could be a little crispier, but that's kind of a minor complaint, I would say. I don't know if it's a complaint, but a little crispier to my personal liking, but It's perfectly moist. I like the topping that does have a little bit of a crunch, and spices are great.
All right, let's move on to the egg casserole.
That is very good as well. I would say the sausage definitely adds a lot. The egg is perfectly fluffy. It's still got a little bit, you can cut into it though. It's not too fluffy. It's solid. Everything holds together well. Again, the sausage is spiced well. Maybe a little salty, but not overly to the point where it's off-putting, just slightly. But solid, definitely good.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the last one.
I like that one. That was the one I was the least sure what it might taste like, and I really like it. The celery and the bacon gives a good crunch. It's got a little bit of, I don't want to say a kick, but I mean a little bit of a kick with the spices. You get a little bit more flavor on the back end, which I think is awesome. And I don't have any complaints about that one. That was really good.
I wouldn't go so far as to call it a secret ingredient, but could you guess what, if there was a secret ingredient, could you guess what it might be?
Oh, I'm so bad at this stuff.
That's okay. You're allowed to be wrong. I didn't know until I knew.
Paprika.
I'll take it as an answer. It's not the one I was looking for.
What is the one you were looking for?
Beer.
That's I'm terrible with
No.
that.
All right, so then let me ask you this. If you could rank them favorite to least favorite, what would the order look like?
I would say stuffing first,
Okay.
then chicken, then the egg.
Awesome.
I'm Dick Gross. You guys know me already.
Returning
DohJoy taste tester.
first.
Chicken first.
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty good.
What do you get flavor-wise?
It's like an Italian chicken. I mean, really, like, it's good. It's, I'd like it to be a little crispier on the top. You know what I mean? Like, a little better crunch. That's what it needs.
Next time I'm heating it in the air fryer.
You know what? The real test would be it as a leftover. That's
okay.
where it's at. Because, you know, you make a bunch, and it's like, oh, how would this be as a leftover, too?
That's a great question.
We'll find out later.
Yeah, sounds good.
Come back tomorrow. I like it. I'll eat more of it. I'll eat it all.
All right, let's move
What's
on. Let's
next?
go egg, baby.
Egg? All right. I like that better.
Talk to me about texture and
The
flavors.
bread isn't like, it's not too soft. So it's like, still holds up.
Cool.
Like a lot of the breakfast things that you make, like the bread just gets too soggy. This is right on point. Cheese is good. Sausage is really good. Is that andouille?
I think it's just breakfast sausage, right?
Really? I don't know. I didn't make it.
Me neither. I'm just here yelling things into the void. But it is just a breakfast sausage, right?
Oh,
Cool.
It is good.
Confirmed.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh,
Try that again. Let's try
that's
that
the
again.
second bite.
Yeah, that's good. Because like a lot of times you'll make something like this and then the egg and the bread sections like separate. And this is all like one. That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Perfect.
That's really good.
Let's move on to the
I'm not
stuffing.
going to get too crazy about like this tastes like this and this. It's like, no,
You can if you want. Worst case, it makes it in. Worst case, it doesn't
Yeah,
make it
it's
in.
true.
Both
Make it
cases.
in my mouth.
It's all worst cases.
All right. And this is just like stuffing
Stuffing with a punch.
with a punch. Hawaiian punch? That's all right. It's pretty, I mean, it's different for
That's
us.
okay.
For a stuffing, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah. Talk to me about texture.
I feel like
flavors.
a stuffing you're used to like Thanksgiving stuffing, which kind of is more would be the word congealed. You know, where it's all kind of like formed together and it's just like a blob almost. This is really good though.
Interesting. A unique flavor. Right?
Yeah, very much, very much.
Rank them for me in favorite to least favorite.
Eggs, number 1. Stuffing, number 2.
Okay.
Chicken, number 3.
Okay. Perfect. Well, that was fun.
That was so
I
fun.
enjoyed it. And I love that you all are always willing to do fun stuff like this on the show. I appreciate it. I'm here for good content. And I think everybody had a really good time trying the product. And for those of you out there watching, this is the kind of stuff I'd love to engage with. So if you want to be a future taste tester, you can reach out to me on pretty much any of Jungle's social platforms. But I would say the best way to get me directly is to shoot me an email at podcast@junglegems.com. I'd like to I'm trying to create my own whack pack here. So I want you all to be a part of the show whenever you'd like. You know, you can even call our hotline, 513-674-6855. Leave me a voicemail. I won't forget about you probably. But I'd love you to take part in this stuff because I want to introduce not just everybody watching the show, but I mean, what better way? Well, you know, you're sampling here in the Fairfield store the week of this show's release. So, I mean, it's a good way for you to look. I'm teasing you with it now. Come in and try it again this weekend. So anyway, I just want to get that out before we go too far. So it looks like I know you tallied our scores. So I think there's a bit of a trend.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about it. So what are you seeing over there, Julie?
Well, I think they all scored very well, and they all have pluses and minuses.
Of course, yeah.
And
they were all, and I will say, honestly, everything was really, really good.
would have eaten more of all of it, for
Legitimately.
sure.
Like, I'm going to the buffet,
Yes.
you know?
But at the end of the day, there are 2 clear winners, one in the lead.
Okay.
All right. Do I tell you which one is winning, or do we start? Okay. So,
Before you tell me,
okay.
did you think these results would shake out the way that they
I
did?
didn't, actually.
Okay.
I did not.
So after you tell me the number, I'm going to ask which you thought was going to be number 1. So why
Okay.
don't you tell me so far who is in the lead? Well, so far, I mean, who's in the lead?
Stuffing is in the lead.
I'm into that.
Woo!
So then what did you think was going to be in the lead?
I actually thought the chicken would be
Really?
would be the winner. I really did.
I thought the egg was going to be the winner because it has cheese on it. And
Yeah.
for me, I'm a cheese gal.
Yeah.
So
cheese aims to please.
yes.
I pulled the chicken out of the oven yesterday, and everybody in the house flocked to it. They flocked to the chicken and devoured the chicken on the plate right there. So
They're like,
maybe, yeah.
Is that 63 grams of protein per serving?
So really good. And then the egg came out of the oven this morning because it's an overnight bake preparation.
Oh, interesting.
And then I was like, I don't know, this one looks really good too.
Yeah.
I don't know which way this is going to go, but the stuffing, I think the creativity of this one is really what's, pulling it ahead of the others right now. So
Yeah. Well, depending on how the edit on this works out, I'll say this for everybody. I agree with the takes, and I was up in the air too. I wasn't sure what to expect because they all looked, like I said earlier, they all looked and they all smelled really, really good. Mm-hmm. I'm an egg fanatic, so you never know. I was really like, oh, I bet that's the winner, hands down. But I gotta say, as far as making your product shine, really the stuffing. Or I guess some people get mad at us for calling it stuffing since we didn't stuff it in me again. The dressing, I'm just going to keep cutting to that clip every time I say it. But the dressing setup to me was just such a unique use of the product. Mm-hmm. As I said in my review, it's not what you expected it to taste like. If I say stuffing or dressing to all of you out there, I know you have a thought of what it tastes like. Excuse me. And this was so unique and different. It was really bright. We joked about it being the summer stuffing.
Yeah.
I think that's really would be, it's kind of weird. This is one of those opportunities where we should take like a holiday food and repurpose it in another use.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I mean, personally, look, if you're making me call this out for sure, which I'd love to.
Yep.
I really got to give them credit on that one. Again, and everybody that submitted, you all did an amazing job. I don't want you to feel slighted in the least. I would eat literally. I mean, you saw what happened after we were done shooting the taste test part. All of us literally ate all of the rest that they brought
It's all
in here
gone.
aggressively. I was just so pleased with the stuffing. It had such a unique flavor. I'll spoil the secret ingredients in it, but it uses a little bit of low carb beer and mustard. Dijon mustard, right?
Dijon mustard.
That added such a unique layer to the dish while still retaining some of those like sage, onions. You get the little mirepoix flavors in there. It was awesome. I really can't say enough good things about it. I say that as somebody who doesn't usually mess with stuffing around the holidays. But I said that when you made your Thanksgiving recipe for me too. That was really impressive.
As I recall, you really liked it.
I really did. And it was those things where you had a little bit of everything. You had all the good textures. You had the good flavors. And by the way, the other recipe, your recipe's on the bag, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely. If you like dressing, try that too. But I'm definitely gonna give this to Kayla. Sorry, I was like, what was her name?
Kayla at Cincy Fit Foodie.
Well, Kayla, hopefully when you win your gift card here officially, well, here as in from DohJoy, I hope you pick Jungle Jim's as your favorite retailer. And if you do, come by and see me. And I guess you could still come by if you pick a different retailer to buy from, but it's going to be a way less fun conversation. I have less time for you. But all kidding aside, this is so much fun.
Thank you.
So what's up for DohJoy in the future? What are we working on next, lady? What's our next project?
Gosh.
Are we just getting ready for summer when we're going to make the summer stuffing?
Well, I feel like we've got an option here. Yes, we're going to do some grilled burgers and hot dogs and some summer stuffing.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I think I said it before, and if it made it into my final edit, but that seems like a good kind of like a lower fat, lower calorie option that hits a lot of those same notes that I know this is going to sound crazy because you are like dressing and what he's about to say, that doesn't sound right. But it gave me a lot of the kind of summer potato salad, macaroni salad, that vibe.
But lighter.
Way lighter.
Yeah.
I mean, it tastes really fresh. It tastes like healthy. I mean, I know that sounds silly to say, but you could tell.
No. Yeah. The nutrition would support that for sure.
Beautiful. Well,
All right.
Look, everybody, you should come in this weekend. You're here. What day are you here? Saturday?
I'll be here Saturday.
Cool. So come into Fairfield Jungle Gyms on Saturday and come try some of the DohJoy bread yourself. And again, like I said earlier, hit me up, podcast@junglegyms.com. Give me all that goodness. I want you to try stuff with me on the show. You don't have to, but I would like that. So sometimes this is for me too. Sarah, Julie, pleasure as always.
Thanks,
Look forward to our next
Mark.
collaboration.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll see you this weekend, huh?
All right.
Yeah.
Very
Of course.
good.
The Jungle Gyms podcast is recorded in the WJJI studio inside Jungle Gyms International Market in Fairfield, Ohio. The Jungle Gyms podcast is produced and hosted by Mark Borison.